amounts. And like I said, I don't want the county to keep it.
Yep, I hear you. Yeah, if you've got a, if you would, maybe shoot me an email with that property address, and maybe I can have a look and
Okay.
maybe look at it specifically.
I'll just have to send you the parcel because the people's name that I have, I don't know if it's correct or not. That's why I haven't tried to contact them or anything or do a JV, because I want to make sure, I have the right people.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll shoot you an email. I'll put the parcel number and what information I have. I will email it to you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you for answering my question. I knew
you bet. You're very welcome. All right. All right, what other questions you guys have? Trying something new. I'm streaming this on StreamYard, which I've never used before, so I don't know if it's working. I can't see myself, so I don't know if anyone else can see me. So guys, if you're joining late, we just do these weekly Q&A calls, just answer basic questions about the business or about the program or anything like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Or if you're on the Zoom, you can unmute yourself as well.
I can see you, but this time is different.
Yeah, I don't know. My video's not, for whatever reason, my video's not working today. So I don't know what the deal is. As long as you can hear me, I guess that works. Let's see. All-nighter heater. I don't know who that is. Oh, good deal, man. You got commercial fishing going on. Well, that should bring in some good money. This is a really good point, guys. He talks about, I'm not sure what his name is, just his YouTube name, All-Nighter Heater, but he went through the course a couple months ago, and he's attended some foreclosure auctions and has found them a very good way to network, start building a team. Absolutely, guys. That's a great way to do it. That's how I found attorneys. That's how I found leads and deals. You can learn a lot, and you don't have to do it, every week or every month, but just attending one or two tax sales and foreclosure auctions in your area, you can learn a lot of information just by doing that. So that's a very good activity I recommend a lot of folks to do. Hider, sorry. Okay. Erica, awesome. Erica, you're already in the course, right? I believe. Perfect. So yeah, if you go into section, I think it's section 7, there's the surpluscoach.com. That's where you can join the weekly mastermind. So look forward to having you in there. Here's a good question. Also great questions, Erica. So she's got a couple questions. Is this bit starting to become oversaturated? I don't think so. I can show you a couple. Let me show you guys a couple things that I've got going on currently. So I'll be right back. Give me one sec. So it's a really good question, really common question as far as, is the business saturated? Is there a ton of competition? And the reality, guys, is yes, there is competition in this business. Very much so. My perspective is a little bit different because of my background. So obviously, some of you know my story, some of you don't, but obviously I used to work in a prison as a corrections officer. Then I started getting into real estate because I didn't want to work at the prison anymore. I was tired of working 12-hour graveyard shifts for 30 to 40 grand a year. So when I got into real estate and before I got into overages, I started doing what is called wholesaling, and I was wholesaling real estate. Did a few deals doing that. And then at one point in time, I was a realtor, so I got my real estate agent's license. And then I discovered overages, and I decided to move into overages. And one of the reasons I chose to focus on overages was because of the competition. So in wholesaling, I know that if I'm going to wholesale real estate in my market, I'm probably going to compete with probably 100 other wholesalers, investors, maybe more. If I'm going to be a realtor in my state, which is Utah, I'm going to compete with 1,000 different agents. That's how many realtors we have just in my state. It's more than 1,000. If I'm going to do overages, then I'm going to compete with 10 to 20 people. So the pool is a lot smaller when it comes to competition, but there still is competition. Okay. Competition also is a good thing because it shows that it's a viable business, that it works for multiple people. If you find an opportunity that only one person is doing it or there's no competition, ask the question, well, why doesn't it work for a lot of people? Why does it only work for so few? Okay. So competition is a good thing. But as far as, the opportunity is still available, and we live in unprecedented times, to be honest with you. You may have noticed that I haven't really been posting a lot on YouTube lately or posting videos or sending out emails. And the bottom line is I've been extremely busy because there's a lot of cases to be done and the overage amounts are very large. So like here is a check, for example, this one's for 10,000 that I got last week from a deal. Here's one for, now that's our cut. That 10,000 is our cut. Here's another one for 91,000. This is not our cut. That's not our take home. We still need to pay the client their portion of that one. So those are two deals just in the last week that have been paid out. I have to pick up another check today. And so the bottom line is the opportunity is still great in the business. Still doing deals. A lot of my students are doing deals. It's extremely busy. So, but will you encounter competition? Absolutely 100%. Yes, you will. If you're looking for something that doesn't have competition, then this would not be a good business for you to join. And just getting in business in general probably wouldn't be a good fit. If you're not a competitive person, you don't have to be a competitive person, but just understand competing is just part of the game. But it's a great question. So hopefully that helps answer it. Another good question as far as establishing basic office space, what's needed starting off? Yeah. So obviously a computer, I prefer a desktop. So I've got, I'm working on my desktop right now. I have 2 monitors. I found that it's very helpful. It's a double-edged sword though, because you'll probably develop ADD because you'll have all these tabs open like I do. But having 2 monitors is really nice because you can have like the case pulled up on one side, and then you can do all your research, your skip tracing, your debt research on the other side. That's what works for me. As far as other stuff, I have a printer over here. And it doesn't have to be a fancy printer. This one's like I don't know. It's an OfficeJet 5740. It's probably $200 or $300, maybe less. I use my cell phone as a scanner and a fax machine. Okay, so there are actually apps now that you can use. I use free app called Genius Scan turns my phone into a scanner. I can take pictures of documents, upload them as PDFs, and email them to who I need to send them to. So that's a very handy tool that I use all the time. Genius Scan, it's completely free. If I ever need to fax documents or I need to receive a fax, which people still use fax today, I would use an app called Genius Fax, and it costs $4, I think, to have a fax number a month, and then it's like $1 to send a page or something like that. Very economical. And then, I've got, that's pretty much it as far as office space goes. And then internet. As long as you have internet, you can work this business anywhere in the world, right? So that's how it goes as far as my office is. Ryan, I have some concerns about Texas. Awesome, Ryan. What are your concerns? How do I show an interest in the property prior to the sale? Regarding tax code 34.04. All right, good question, Ryan. So with Texas, what you're referring to is the tax code. And you have to be, so that code specifically mentions the use of assignments, right? Using assignments in Texas for recovering tax sale overages. What we do in Texas, we don't use assignments, okay? I strongly recommend anyone that's working Texas, do not use an assignment form in Texas, because when you do so, and you can go read the code that Ryan's talking about, it's 34.04, it limits your ability significantly to recover overages in Texas. So ways around that: number one, don't use an assignment form. Use the forms listed. If you're in the course, go to section 5, specifically, actually section 7, go to the Texas module and use the paperwork that I have listed there specifically, okay? Number 2, do not do anything in Texas without an attorney, is the bottom line. I would not do anything in Texas without using an attorney. I would not try to recover overages by myself on behalf of a homeowner. Use an attorney. That's the other thing. So don't use assignments and don't do anything on your own. Use an attorney in Texas. If you're in the program, go to section 7, use the documents I have listed there specific for Texas. Gusto Johnson, are state funds good to go after? So I have some cases, I have experience going after state funds. I have some cases right now with the state. The problem I have with state funds is they are more restrictive than overages, okay? So for anyone that's listening or isn't aware, let's define the types of funds you can go out and recover, okay? There's mortgage overages or surplus funds from foreclosures. These are funds that are generated from the foreclosure of a mortgage, okay? Then there's tax sale overages or tax sale surplus funds. These funds are generated from a tax sale of real property, okay? State funds are funds that are held with the state unclaimed property division. State funds can include a whole variety of things. Sometimes it can include overages from tax sales and foreclosures, but it can also include insurance proceeds, return checks, safe deposits, old bank accounts that have laid dormant for a long time. So there's a wide variety of state funds. With what I do, overages and surplus funds from tax sales and foreclosures, those funds are usually not held at the state level. They are held at the county level or the courts. And because of that, they operate under a different set of rules. So state funds, if money is being held by a state, you have to abide by the unclaimed property law, okay? Whereas with overages at the county level, you abide by the property tax code and real estate foreclosure law. So separate laws, different things, okay? If money's at the unclaimed property division, you're going to be subject to more limitations and you have zero control over the process. So the nice thing with overages and surplus funds that are held at the county level is there are certain deadlines that the counties or the courts need to meet. There's some sort of control that you have. If money's at the unclaimed property with the state, you have zero control. If they say jump, you say how high. And they will, in my opinion, the state will have you jump through as many hoops as they deem necessary, which is usually a lot. And so because of that, I have found that state unclaimed funds, at least the ones that I've dealt with, they have greater restrictions, they take longer to pay out, and honestly, they're just a royal pain in the butt, in my opinion. I don't like to do them. I will if the overage amount is high enough. Like right now, I have a case where the total amount being held at the state is over 120,000. Something like that I'll do. But if it's like a lower amount, I wouldn't pursue it. It's also more difficult to find, leads with state unclaimed funds. Now, California is an exception to this. California, you can get a list and they'll tell you the exact amount. Most states will not give you the exact amount of money owed to the individual. They'll say something like, oh, it's over $50 or it's over $250. So you may be helping someone recover an overage from the state, but if you don't know exactly how much it is, you may spend 10 to 20 hours on that case, and then you find out, oh, they're only owed $1,000. And so then you just have to ask yourself, is that worth your time? For me, the answer is no. For other people, it may be worth it. So you just have to decide what you want up front and if it's worth pursuing. But most states won't give you a list of who's owed money and the exact amount. They just have a very generic over-under system. It's very frustrating. So because of those reasons, I don't like state funds. Sometimes I will do them, but I try to steer clear of them. Do you have any knowledge or experience working as a private membership association? I don't. No, I don't. So the biz would be owned by an LLC and the LLC is owned by the PMA. Interesting. That's something to look into, but I don't have any specific knowledge or experience in that realm. So yes, Ryan, my Texas attorney covers the entire state of Texas. Yes, in Texas, you can recover surplus before the redemption period's over. But again, you have to use your attorney to submit the claim. Yep, that's very true. Yeah, in California, the trustees like to hold on to the funds. And yeah, sometimes they'll get an extra $1,000 or $2,000 just to hold on to the funds. It's kind of a racket, but it is what it is. What's up, Arnell? Arnell is a very successful recovery specialist. Just got his first payout soon. Could we be our own notary or PI? I mean, you could, if you wanted to. I'm not a licensed PI. I've never used a PI in my business. I think if there may be a time where using a PI would be beneficial, especially if it's a very high overage amount or a very high case. It's a good skill set. Obviously, in this business, you need to learn how to be a good skip tracer, which that's one of the skills you need to have if you are a private investigator. So it could be beneficial to, go get that training, but it's not necessary. As far as being your own notary, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend using a third-party notary just to avoid any sort of conflict of interest issues in the future. You don't want to be notarizing, someone's form where you're also maybe the beneficiary of that. So I would recommend using a third-party notary. They're not expensive. Typical notary costs are $50 to $100. Here's the other thing, guys. Like, I don't usually pay mobile notaries. If I need something notarized, I present the paperwork to the client and I say, take this down to your bank and they will get it notarized, usually for free. If it costs you money, let me know and I'll reimburse you. And I let people handle their business. So that's what I do. All right. Good stuff. Any last questions before we wrap it up for today?
Nick,
Yes.
I wanted to give you more update. I've been working on this, the auctions, in Texas, and I've waited. Been 2 weeks now, so I hope I'll be able to get the information, like you showed on the video, so I can, do that. That's what I hope.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. So you're working what, Texas and Georgia then?
No, I'm doing Texas, Missouri, and Georgia.
Okay. Which one?
Because I've learned how do I say this? Anyway, I've learned that you got to, save it, save what that's coming up. You got to save it, then you got to wait a week or two before you can get that information,
Right. But you got a list from Fulton County, though, of tax overages?
Oh, yeah, I have a list, yes.
Okay, that's good.
I just can't find the former owner of it because I'm going to do like you said. That was GSS.
Yeah, I'll type it in the chat here for you. Make sure I've got if it'll work for me. Or like I said, shoot me that email and then I can respond to it and hopefully give you some more clear guidance on that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's all that I have for now.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right, guys. Yeah, great question. So at a sheriff's auction, is the amount bid over the opening bid always an overage? Speaking about Cook County, Illinois. Great question. The answer is no, not always. So what I have found is it really depends on the state you're working in and the type of foreclosure procedures it is. So there's two types of foreclosure procedures. There's judicial and non-judicial. Illinois is judicial. The nice thing about judicial is you can figure out what exactly the judgment amount is. That's all public record within the court records. Sometimes the opening bid is the judgment amount or the amount that's owed to the bank. Other times, banks will play games and they will set the opening bid lower than the debt that's actually owed. And the reason they will do that is to trigger competitive bidding, hoping that it will sell for more, or at least hoping that they will the property will sell for what the bank is owed. So not always, but there are ways to confirm what the actual debt is, okay? Using court records or even contacting trustees and things of that nature. And you specifically said Cook County, so let me touch a little bit on that. So I have not done any deals in Illinois yet. I have people, of students that have done deals in Illinois, specifically Cook County. And so what I'm going to share with you is not based on my experience, it's hearsay, it's based on other people's experiences, such as my students, okay? So I have heard that in Cook County, the judges there will not release funds to anybody but the claimant. So if it's a homeowner you're working with, they will only release it to the homeowner. I've heard they won't even release it to a homeowner's attorney. And I've also heard that in Cook County, they make the homeowner come to the court in person to pick up their check. So be aware of those obstacles, specifically in Cook County. Again, that's just based on what I've heard other people's experiences. That's not my own, but you just want to put that out there. I know that there are overages in Cook County. There's money to be recovered in Cook County, but it seems that Cook County has a lot of obstacles and a lot of barriers. So keep that in mind, which could be a good thing, actually. So going back to the competition thing, the more barriers there are, guys, in a market, the less people are going to work there. And the opposite is also true. The easier it is to get the information in a certain area, the more people are going to work there. So keep that in mind. Will counties pay out to your personal name if you don't have an LLC? Yes, that is possible. So when I first started, guys, I didn't have an LLC. It was just my name. I just put my name on a fee agreement, and yes, we were able to get checks out to my name, or like I say, I really recommend you use an attorney. Then you don't have to worry about that. Just have the attorney receive the check and then disperse the funds according to your agreement. A check to your client and a check to you from your attorney. That's the most simple way in my opinion. So, and why it's so important to use attorneys. Now, again, I know when people say, well, attorneys are expensive. Here's the thing, guys. Attorneys don't always have to be paid up front, okay? Some attorneys will work on contingency, meaning they get paid when you get paid. Others will work on a flat rate, and they will take their fee out of the surplus. And so remember that just because I say use an attorney's, if you have the thought, well, I don't have money for an attorney, well, you don't always need money for an attorney based on what I just told you, okay? Contingency, flat rate, everything's negotiable. And you can always partner with someone that has attorneys or who will cover the costs for you. That's another thing you can do, okay? Awesome. All right, I'll take a couple more questions, then we'll wrap it up. What tasks do you have your VAs do? Yeah, great question. So right now I have my VAs will do list or lead generation for me. So they'll create lists of leads for me. They'll also do research for me, such as skip tracing. They'll verify how much the debt was. They'll verify if the overage is still available to claim. So a lot of those tasks now I have outsourced to my VAs: lead generation, skip tracing, and researching. I have had some VAs in the past do initial contacts. Right now I have an in-house person that's doing contacts for me. And then, another one of my VAs, she drafts all the paperwork for clients, and she'll actually send out paperwork via email to clients. So that's what I have my VAs do. I didn't start that way. There was a time where I did everything. From A to Z, I did everything. And I actually recommend people do that Because a lot of people look at this business and say, oh, I can automate everything, which is true, but you have to have experience doing the tasks yourself before you automate them, at least in my experience. And here's the reason why. If you automate something, like if you outsource it to a VA or to an employee or whoever, but you've never done the thing yourself, how are you going to evaluate that person's performance that you have outsourced that task to? How are you going to know if they are doing a good job or not? And how are you going to provide them feedback or training if they need to improve? Does that make sense? And so that's a mistake I see a lot of people making that jump into the business. Is they're like good business people, and they see this as an opportunity that they can do business without having to do all the work themselves, which you can get to that point, but I don't think you should start out that way, in my opinion. You should at least get a couple deals under your belt. And as you are doing the business, as you're doing the work, guys, as you're figuring out your processes, make sure that you are documenting what you're doing, writing it down step by step, for a specific state or county. And then when the time comes, you already have a list of instructions, a standard operating procedure, SOP, basically a training manual that you can hand off to somebody. And then you can start outsourcing that work. Okay. So I started off doing everything myself, and then I've slowly outsourced bits and pieces of the business to others. All right. Sorry about that. The thing crashed. All right. Appreciate you guys bearing with me through the technical difficulties. It's kind of, I'm not super, first time I've used this StreamYard, so I don't know if it's working or seems kind of glitchy, but I see comments coming through, so that's good. Janika, I don't know if my mic was on or not, or if you caught my answer, but yes, if you're still on, you can do joint ventures if you're living in Hawaii, or you can even do deals on your own. As long as you've got internet, you're good to go. So yes, absolutely. You can do joint ventures. All right. Hopefully I got them all. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hopping on. if you could give me a thumbs up if you want me to do more of these, if that's possible, or give me a 1 if you can even hear me still. I don't even know if it's working. So, but as always, I've got lots of free info for you guys on the YouTube channel. Then there's also the website, overagesyndicate.com. And then there's school.overagecourse.com. So lots of resources for you guys. If you are a student, make sure that you're spending most of your time in the course, because that's where the meat is, right? And inside the private Facebook group. And then, of course, we've got our weekly mastermind calls. So Arnell's a part of those, and a lot of value there as well. So that's a place to get like some really good help that's really specific to your deals personally. So that's probably the biggest thing that I would say is, I mean, I don't know, maybe Arnell can speak to it, say what he thinks is beneficial about the program. But for me, it's being able to, number one, learn from people that are doing the business themselves, that are bringing deals. Number two, it's being able to look at your deals in real time. So if you have a deal, you can bring it in and I'll show you from A to Z what you need to do, or how to find something. Maybe if you've got an obstacle that you can't overcome, he'll help you solve that. So it's live. It's kind of like this, right? Where it's live, not in person, but virtual. And you can ask specific how-to questions. So if you need help on how to do something, like very specific to maybe a certain county, like, hey, how do I find out, where do I go to find out the liens in Dallas County, Texas? We can walk through a case study like that. Or, hey, I found this court record. What do these court records mean for this overage? Is the money still here? And we can pull up that court record and then do a real life case study. So that's the biggest thing in my opinion. All right, guys. All right, so we're still with a few people. Cool. Well, appreciate you guys jumping on. Again, thank you for bearing with me with the technical difficulties. Like I said, trying something new. And that's it for today. So have a great day. Oh, there's Arnell's. So Arnell says, weekly masterminds are gold because you have direct access to Nick and other folks with similar issues. Also, having a support group is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot to be when you're with a bunch of people that aren't just looking to get involved, but are actually doing the business. That's very helpful. I myself learn a lot from those calls. It's very nice. And yes, I do those calls. Like I don't farm those out. I don't outsource them to someone else. It's me doing the calls myself. So, which I guess that's one of the differences, in a lot of other programs, you'll have the person that is, presenting the program or selling the program, but they're not the ones teaching you, or they're not the ones coaching you. With me, that's not the case. So I do all the coaching, all the teaching. So I don't outsource that. So I don't think you should. Don, what's been my quickest payout? About 60 days. That's been my quickest, 60 days. Average 3 to 4, sometimes longer, especially on estate cases where you're dealing with heirs. All right, guys, have a great day. Have an awesome Monday and a great week. We'll talk to you later. And that concludes today's Q&A.